The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today as we dive into two of my favorite topics, talking about marketing automation and CRM, or more specifically, ClickDimensions and Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Ledgeview Partners, and we help businesses transform their approach to their sales, their marketing, and their customer service by aligning their teams to focus on improving their customers' experience through CRM solutions like Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Salesforce, as well as integrated marketing automation tools like ClickDimensions, who I'm really jazzed about having join us today. Now, being a marketer, I live and I breathe marketing automation and CRM every single day. And I don't know what I would do without these just two powerful marketing engines. I think that a lot of folks, unfortunately, don't understand really the full power of a marketing automation solution and really just kind of focus on tools like and features like email marketing. But it is just so much more, and you're going to get to see a lot of that today. So I'm excited to welcome Matt from ClickDimensions to provide an inside look at ClickDimensions marketing automation solutions that lives right within Microsoft Dynamics 365. I mean, you don't know where Microsoft Dynamics 365 starts and ClickDimensions ends, and vice versa. It is so integrated and so cool. Now, I've used these tools for years, but I just love these demos because every single time I watch them, I get fresh ideas on how to just get more out of these tools to really drive efficiency and really extend our marketing reach. So, enough from me, Matt. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, Chad, I appreciate the introduction, and I'm excited to be here too. So what we'll do today is we're going to take a look at one slide really quick inside of this PowerPoint here, and then we will spend the rest of the time in the live environment. Now, as far as ClickDimensions goes, we are fully native to the Dynamics CRM platform. So what that means is we are one solution file on the back end, and then from there, you'll have access to all of the different marketing features that we'll go over today from right inside of your CRM system. Now, we are also fully supported. So in addition to working with a great partner like Ledgeview, you'll have access to your own personal ClickDimensions customer success manager that's going to work with you for the duration of your contract, as well as our global support team. Now, on top of that, we do also give you access to an online academy that's filled with a bunch of videos, tips, best practices, all designed to maximize your ClickDimensions knowledge. And you can put whoever you want to into the academy because all of your Dynamics users are going to have access to different ClickDimensions functionality. Now, you can obviously limit that with settings if you want to. So if you don't want, a guy like me to be able to email 10,000 people at a time, then you could always limit that or restrict that. But one of the great parts about this is all of the reporting that's going to be on the individual leads and contacts, which you'll see here once we jump into the demo. And having that information in front of all of the people in your organization is going to give them insight into what your customers are actually interacting with and what they're actually interested in. Now, I will say we're also fully committed to the Dynamics environment, so we don't work with any other CRM. All of the functionality that we release with ClickDimensions is going to be built for the Dynamics user. So you'll see that as we jump in. And then really quickly, just to go over some of the features and functionalities we'll be looking at today, we do obviously have an email marketing tool. So you can send emails to existing marketing lists inside of your CRM. You can create new marketing lists and send them emails as well. But because it is native, you can add personalizations to all of these emails to make them really feel like they were only sent to one person versus, a bulk email that goes out and feels like it was sent to the entire world. Now, we also do have an event management tool. So the way this works is ClickDimensions connects Dynamics to different event management tools that we work with. And then from there, we bring in registrants automatically as leads or contacts, whichever your preference is on that specific event. But we do work with WebEx, Eventbrite, Zoom, Teams, as well as GoToWebinar. So if you're using one of those tools, we make it really easy to get all of your event data back inside of CRM. Now, we do have a social marketing tool that's built into this as well. So you can post directly to LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook right from inside of your Dynamics system and track link click interactions back to individual contacts and leads. We do also have a campaign automation tool. And I really consider this the crown jewel of the ClickDimensions functionality because it takes a ton of the heavy lifting off of your marketers. What it does is it allows you to build automated pass, drips, and nurture campaigns all based off of certain interactions with ClickDimensions content. So for example, if someone clicked on one of your links in a social post, we could use that link click to send them content related to what they were just looking at and make sure that we're really targeted and focused on this individual prospect's specific needs. Now, I'll build out a couple of these today. There are a ton of use cases for them, but it is going to be really where a lot of that automated marketing functionality comes in for us. Now, we do have an SMS messaging tool as well. So if you're using Twilio, bulk SMS, or MessageNet, you can send SMS messages directly from Dynamics and ClickDimensions to existing marketing lists that you have inside a CRM. We do have a ton of built-in reporting as well. So all of the ClickDimensions interactions, like I said, are tracked back to individual leads and contacts. We can tie them back to individual Dynamics campaigns. And when you send an email, we're going to give you some information back on how that performed, who's clicking, what our open rate was, ton of information like that. But there is a lot of different places inside of CRM where we can go and find ClickDimensions data. So I'll show you what that looks like today as well. We do have a form capture tool, so we can put forms onto landing pages or onto your website, and as people fill those out, they're automatically going to be entered into CRM as a leader contact. We do have a new survey tool as well. That's a drag and drop editor, super easy to use, very powerful. We also released a new landing page builder recently as well, so that is now a drag and drop editor, and we'll take a look at that also. We do have training and support. We give you a tracking script to put into your website so we can track who's visiting individual pages on your website, how long they're there for, what they're looking at. And then based off of all of these different ClickDimensions interactions, we're going to be able to give individual contacts and leads what is known as a lead score. So that way we can point your sales teams in the direction of the most interested prospects. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the live environment. All right, so what we're looking at here is a sandbox Dynamics environment, which we can tell by the sandbox up here, but this environment does have ClickDimensions built into it. Now, the first thing I like to talk about once we get into these actual demos is the use of Dynamics campaigns. So we'll use that word campaign a lot as we're going through the ClickDimensions demo today, but the Dynamics campaign functionality is one that comes with your CRM. Now, the way I use this from a marketing perspective is as a kind of file to house related marketing data. So as you're building different ClickDimensions content, you're going to have the option to tie it back to a specific Dynamics campaign. So as you start generating leads, and from those leads, opportunities as a result of your specific marketing activities, if those are tied back to this campaign, then you're going to be able to see the leads and opportunities that came from a specific set of marketing activities. And this is going to give you a good way to evaluate the ROI based off of the marketing content that you're sending out. So I could go into the ClickDimensions tab to look at all of the ClickDimensions interactions that are tied to the different content that we've created for the specific Dynamics campaign, or I can go into the related tab and click specifically on what I want to look at. Anything from the events that I might have created for this, any participations or social clicks, form captures, surveys, campaign automations, marketing lists, or any of those emails that I've sent to prospects that are tied to here. So I like to cover that because you will see me tying stuff back to this specific Dynamics campaign. But if you have, a new product or service that you're releasing and we make a bunch of new content for that specific product or service, as we're making that content, be sure to tie it back to a Dynamics campaign so that way we can see how well all of that new content is performing for you. Now, with that said, under the planning stage, you're also going to have access to what's known as our marketing calendar. This is going to let us look into all of the different scheduled marketing activities that we have coming up so we can see, any scheduled emails, events, social posts, text messages that are going out, those campaign automations that are running. And I am on a very small screen, so these aren't blown out at the moment. But if I do open this up, we can see all of the different stuff that we have scheduled. And if we do have something, where we have multiple social posts on a specific day, for example, and I'm interested to see which network this is going out on, I can click on any of these and get a better breakdown with more details on specifically what's happening. Okay, so under planning, you're also going to have a single sign-on option to what's known as the ClickDimensions Intelligent Dashboards. That's included in our Premier package, and I could actually probably do an hour-long demo on those as well. But for today, we're going to skip over it. Just know that there are 19 pre-built turnkey dashboards that are available from ClickDimensions. But because all of the ClickDimensions data is native to Dynamics, you can actually build Dynamics dashboards or reports in Power BI using the information that ClickDimensions is driving back. So, if that's something that you're interested in, Ledgeview is going to be a great resource for helping building out those dashboards as well. But where we're really going to be working out of most of the time is going to come from the messaging tab as well as the web and events tab. And then you'll also see some functionality under the library and audience. But let's start with messaging. So when you open up messaging, the first thing this is going to prompt you to do is create a new email send. So this is what we're going to do if we want to send out, a large bulk email, for example. Oops. And all you have to do is title this, select the editor that you want to use. Now, I will say we do have a custom HTML editor if you like working with code. We also have a freestyle editor, which is more of a WYSIWYG. I use it if I'm trying to make an email look like it came from Outlook, just as an individual email send. But the new drag and drop is going to give you a ton of options when it comes to really customizing this email and branding it towards your organization. This is the most common one for our customers to use, so that's the one we'll take a look at today. You can schedule this into the future if you want to. All you would have to do is select no, and then you can select your time zone and when you want this to be sent. But I'm going to change it back to yes just for the sake of time today. You can pull from your existing email templates, and those templates are going to be available over here on the left as well. You will need to add a subject line in here also. Whoops. That would help if I could type today. And then this is where you're going to be able to tie it back to that Dynamics campaign that we were talking about. So all I have to do is search CRM for that campaign that I want this data writing back to, select it, and now I have this tied to that marketing file that we were talking about. I am also going to have the option to send this directly from the record owner. So there are a lot of practical reasons we would do this, right? If we wanted it to look like, we were sending a thank you from a customer success manager that works with your specific customer that you're sending these emails to, instead of having to send them to individual lists based off of the individual who owns them, what you can do is say, send this from the record owner inside of Dynamics. So all I'd have to do is switch that to yes, or I can send it from one individual user inside of CRM, or I can actually just type in the name of the person I want it to look like it's coming from. So something that we do internally every once in a while is we'll send an email on behalf of our CEO, Mike Dickerson. And we don't necessarily want Mike to receive all of our responses that are coming back in, right? So what we can do is we can type in something like our marketing alias as the reply to email address. So that way we still are receiving all of the replies. We're just not blowing up our CEO's inbox. But yeah, so once we save this, you're going to have the option to pull in a marketing list of your recipients. So instead of having to import and export something to a separate tool outside of CRM, we can just go add one of those existing marketing lists, and then we have everybody that we're mailing to. Now, I will say you also have the option to change this to a transactional email. So basically, ClickDimensions weeds out all of the people who have unsubscribed from your marketing materials who are on this list that we're sending to, and it won't send to them. And that's designed to help you remain compliant. But if this is a transactional email where we need to get this information to these people, we could mark this as transactional, and that'll bypass your subscription list. But once we've saved it, you are going to have the option to open your email editor. And I will say you have the option to do split tests as well. So if we wanted to try a couple different templates or a couple different subject lines, a couple different from names, you're going to have all of that functionality available to you as well. But when we get into the editor, you are going to have the option to select from some of our basic layouts. We do give you some featured layouts to use as well. Or, and this is what I do most of the time, you can start from your templates and your layouts, which you have used previously. So you can see we're going to be able to scroll down and select exactly the content that we want to use. So for us, we use Troximo, which is a fake motorcycle company, but you'll see we use it throughout this demo. But now from here, I am able to make edits to this template that I've pre-populated. Now it's super easy to drag new pieces of content in. And one of the things I love about this drag and drop editor is the ability to save sections, especially since we're generally including a subscription option down here at the bottom of the email, as well as all of our social links. Those are things that we don't want to have to link every single time where we just wanted to send an email. So what I can do is I can save those sections, and then when I want to populate the email with those links, all I have to do is drag and drop that section in. I get my subscription preferences as well as all my social media links. And you can do the same thing for the header, right? So if you have a branded header that you're going to use in most of your emails, save it as a section, and then you can just drag and drop it in. Now, as far as the actual text goes, there is a lot of things that we can do because we're native to CRM that other tools are going to be unable to do. And one of the things that we can do is use this personalize button. So basically what this does is it allows you to pull information from a contact, lead, account, or owner record inside of CRM, and then you can select which field we want to use. So if I was interested in mentioning this person's company name, for example, I could pull that in to where we say, hi, first name, how's it going at this company? And then I go into my page. But it is pulling directly from CRM, so you have access to all of those fields. I would also say the owner is going to be an interesting one to pull from as well. So if we're sending this in like a campaign automation, which I'll show you in a little bit, that's an automated email going out based off of like a form submission or something. Having that owner information is going to be super helpful because it gives this prospect a good place to reach out to if they need something immediately. You know, we could pull in the name of the person who will be working with them as well as their email and phone number so that they have that information in front of them. Now, another thing that's going to be super useful being native is going to be the ability to add conditions to this. So basically what I can do is I can add different conditions to different sections of this email to say, only show this part of this email if this person meets this criteria. So the example that I'm going to use here is maybe we're in Atlanta for an event, right? And we have another event in Miami coming up in a couple weeks. I could put the messaging for the event in Atlanta in the top half of the email and the event information for the people in Miami in the bottom of the email and set a condition to say only show this part of the message if this person signed up for the event in Atlanta or if they're located in Atlanta. So what I could do is I could say, you know, the contact address city has to equal Atlanta. And now only people in Atlanta are going to be able to see this section of the email. And then I would create another section, maybe another text box down below where I would go into the information about the Miami event. So to add another text section, all I would have to do is drop that block in here. And then from there, I'm going to have all of my standard formatting options. I could personalize this as well, change my font if I wanted to, but it does give you a lot of flexibility and it takes away some of that stress of having to separate those individual marketing lists. Now, there is a ton of other stuff that we can do in here, but for the sake of time, what I'm going to show you now is just how we would preview this before we actually send it out. So I can see what this will look like on a desktop or mobile device before I send it. And I can also run what's called an inbox preview. Now, this inbox preview is super helpful because it's going to show us what this email will look like in a variety of different inboxes that it could end up in. I can see what it looks like on, you know, an iPhone versus an Android. It does take just a second to load because we're putting it through all of these different mailboxes. But even more importantly, I think the spam filter is going to be super helpful because what this does is it tells us if we're passing or failing all of these different spam filters before we actually send this out. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we pass this so that we're not sending a bunch of emails and then they're getting caught in junk folders or caught by a spam box. So we just want to make sure that it's going to get there. And I will say ClickDimensions, if you're sending through our IP, which the majority of our customers do, you are sending with a 99.6 deliverability rate. So, you know, you will see most of these getting through, but checking the spam filter is going to be a great way to make sure that we're keeping our deliverability up. All right, so let me jump back into the email send then. One of the things that you're going to get when you send out an email is going to be the data back on that specific email send. So all of this is available inside of Dynamics, but I do like to pop open this email statistics window just because it does give us a nice graph of the information that we're looking at. But this is going to show us, you know, how many people interacted with this email, what our open rate was, what our click rate was. We can see how many people we sent it to. Email clients tab is going to show us whether they're opening it on a desktop or a mobile device and also which operating system they're using. But I really think conversions is a great tab in here because it is going to show us how many people are actually visiting our website as a result of the email. If we're trying to push them towards a form or survey, we want to see how successful we were with that. Those numbers are going to be available in here. The click report itself will show us which links inside the email people are interacting with the most. And then under recipients, you're actually going to be able to click back into the contact or lead record that you sent to from here. So if I'm interested in seeing, Eva here interacted with my email, she opened it twice, she clicked on 2 links, but I want to know exactly which 2 links she clicked on. I could click into the contact record and then go ahead and look at these 2 link clicks. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Click heat map will show us in the email where people are clicking, and then under social shares, if someone does use that social share button, we'll be tracking that for you as well. All right, so let's jump back here really quick. So one thing I like to mention about templates, and after this we'll look at a specific contact record to see some of the reporting and see those email link clicks that we're looking at. But with any of these email templates that you'll be creating in here, you have the option to turn on what's known as a ClickDimensions quick send. And what that's going to let you do is use this email as a one-off for individuals. And as a sales guy, I think this is a great feature. I use it all the time. I understand that my marketing team is generally better at creating content than I am, right? So instead of having to create my own emails, what I'll do is I'll pull from one of these ClickDimensions quick sends that we have turned on. So if I save that and then enter all of these different fields, I'm going to be able to use this as a one-off. So if we do go to an individual contact record in here, give it 1 second. Okay, so we're going into Sunil's contact record. But let's say I wanted to use that ClickDimensions quick send functionality to send him a quick note. All I have to do is click on this ellipses, go to ClickDimensions quick send, and then I can select the email template that I want to use. So these are all ones that my marketing team has made available for me. Let's say I'm interested in doing something for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Once this populates, you'll see we have that email template that was created for us. I could open the editor if I wanted to. I could change the from name. I could also send it from myself just by sending it from the record owner. But you get a ton of options with it, and it populates quick, and then all you have to do is click send. Now, on the contact record itself, you are going to see a similar reporting function that we saw in that Dynamics campaign option, which is if you click on related, you can look into specific ClickDimensions interactions. So if I'm interested in seeing, maybe his specific page views on our website, I could click on this before I called into Sunil, and I'll see the type of content that he was actually interacting with. And this is going to let me have a little bit of a leg up in our conversation because I know exactly what he's been looking at. Now, if I did want to see all of his interactions, for example, I could go to the ClickDimensions tab. I'm going to see his lead score. I'll see which marketing lists he's a part of, any texts we've sent him. All of his email clicks are available here. If he has posted forms, I can see his form fields. I can see when he's changed his subscription preferences. Again, I have those page views. If he had filled out a survey, I could see his answers down here. But it does give you a lot of information, and it's all tracked back to the individual. So you don't have to do any importing or exporting of this data as well. But okay, let's jump back into messaging because we still got a ton of ground to cover here today. The next thing I'm going to want to look at is going to be the campaign automation functionality. And I mentioned that this is a pretty powerful tool that we have here at ClickDimensions that lets you build out automated marketing paths. So what I do is I'll go to new, and then I will title this. I can tie it back to that Dynamics campaign that we were talking about. And then once I save it, I'm going to have the ability to open what's known as our builder. And this is a drag and drop tool also, but it really makes building these automated marketing paths out super easy. And you can start from blank, which is what we're going to do today. But as you're building these, you can save these to your templates so you don't have to start from scratch every single time. But we'll start from blank. And again, if I build something I really want to use again in the future, I'll just save this as a template. Now, what I can do, and for this example, what we're assuming is someone's come to our website, submitted a form. I want to route that form to one of my salespeople to reach out, but I also want to start communicating to this person without having to wait for someone on my team to reach out to them directly. And then from there, I can use their interactions to decide if this person should be included in one of our marketing lists where we're sending more regular updates. So what I'll do is I'll pull this trigger out that says if someone submits a ClickDimensions form, I want to go ahead and assign an owner inside of CRM. So I'm going to pull out 3 different people here, but you can have more than this if you want. And then from there, I'm going to drag these arrows out to the individual owners. Now you'll notice after I selected more than one person, it populated what's known as a decision node. And this decision node is going to let us use information that we captured on this form to decide how we actually route this. So I'll use the city example again, just because it's close to the top here. But I'll say, if the leader contact that we're creating, if the address city equals Atlanta, that's coming to me. All right. And then I could add multiple clauses for each individual if I wanted to. You could obviously do it by region or country or, even specific product that they're interested in. You just want to make sure that the form is capturing that piece of information. I would also add specific clauses for owners 2 and 3 down here. But once I save and close this, now everything coming through Atlanta is being routed to owner 1. In order to make this myself, all I have to do is search for that owner inside of CRM. And now I'm getting everything coming through Atlanta. But like I said, we can go ahead and start sending these people content even without having our reps reach out directly. So what I'll do is I'll put an email send right after this. So no matter where they're being routed to, they're all getting the same email. I also mentioned in the email builder itself, we can pull in the owner information. So no matter which owner they're being assigned to, we're still populating the email with the correct owner's email address, phone number, as well as, position and other information that they might need about the individual that they'll be reaching out to. So that's a great way to give them the option to reach out to you directly. But from there, in order to select the email that we're sending, you're able to search from your existing templates. So I'm going to use this contact us autoresponder, and then I'm going to start checking for individual email interactions. So if someone does click on a specific link in this email or even just opens it, I'm able to send people down positive and negative paths. So for me, what I'm going to consider a positive path is if someone clicks on the link that I'm looking for. And for this example, we'll just use this header. But if someone clicks on the link in that header, they're interested enough to open up the email. They're also interested enough to click on the content inside of the email. So what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to go ahead and add this person to a marketing list that we'll call interested prospects. And then I might do something like create a task for the individual owner to follow up, or maybe even notify a user or team. Now from there, if someone doesn't click, we're going to send them down what's known as the negative path. I could do something similar, right? Where I'm going to send them another email. I'm going to check for that specific email interaction. And then if they interact this time, we'll do the same thing where we add them to that marketing list and then maybe notify our user again. But you can build this out as far as you want. And it is going to make it super easy for us not only to assign an owner based off of the form submission, start communicating with this person, but we're also building out our marketing list to strengthen the people on it so that we are getting more opens, more clicks, and more interactions when we're actually sending this out. So this is just one example. Another pretty common use case for this is going to be event registration, but you can do it for all kinds of things. Like I would suggest, even if you create a social post, maybe it's a new product release or service or something, but if they click on the link in the social post, we could send them an email directly related to the content that was in that social post. Same thing with a specific page view on your website, right? If we have a page view for one product or for one service, and we have this person's email address already captured inside a CRM, I could say if this person visits this website, go ahead and send them this email, or this web page will send them this email that's related to the content that they were just looking at. So you're going to have all of that flexibility in here. If I do go back to the blank template real quick, I'll show you quickly how we would build one of these that are for a specific event. But I might say, maybe we're going to use added to a marketing list as the trigger for this, because these are all the people that we think might be interested in attending one of these events. So if they're added to this marketing list, we're going to go ahead and send them an email. Then from there, what we're going to do, instead of just checking for the email interaction itself, I'm going to check for that specific event registration. So that's the goal, right? We want people to register for this event. If they do, what we'll do is we'll set a wait timer to maybe, a week or two before the actual event happens. Oops. Sorry, my keypad here is being a little bit crazy. All right, there it goes. So we'll set a date timer to a couple weeks before the event happens, and then we'll start sending reminder emails that say, hey, here's your login information, make sure you show up. And then once the event actually happens, we'll check to see if they actually attended. If they did, we'll send them a follow-up that says, hey, thanks for showing up. We really appreciate you coming out to the ClickDimensions event. And if they didn't, so they registered but didn't show up, what we would do is we'd send them something that says, hey, you can register for our next event here. Be on the lookout for the next piece of information about the next time we're doing this. So it gives you that flexibility to send messages based off of how people are interacting with you. So we had all the registrants go through, but that's not a guarantee they're going to attend. So we want to make sure that that next message is customized to what action that person actually took. Now, if they didn't register for the event up here, we could do something similar, right? Where we're still sending them another email, and then we're checking for that registration again. And, let's say they do sign up this time. We'll put them down that same path that we put everybody else down while we're still sending emails to the people who are not registering. So super easy to build, ton of different use cases in here. We could sit here and build stuff for different scenarios all day if we wanted to, but for the sake of time, I'll keep it moving forward for now. All right, so that was the campaign automation functionality. Under messaging, you're also going to have access to your organizational level email statistics. So if I want to see, all of my recent sent emails, or if I got an email error, a list of all my unsubscribes, those are all going to be available from here. Excluded recipients is going to be something else that you can look at too. But generally what that is someone who's on a marketing list that we try to send an email to, but they've unsubscribed from that particular piece of information, they would be counted as an excluded recipient that we took out of that list for you. Now, we'll also do things like duplicate detection. So if you do have two email addresses that are the same for two different contacts on the same marketing list, we're not going to send them the same email twice. That would count as an excluded recipient as well. But they would get the first email. They just wouldn't get it two times. Now, under the SMS functionality, you do have the ability to send SMS messages from here as well. So I mentioned you do have to be connected to Twilio, Bulk SMS, or MessageNet. We're not the ones who are actually sending the text message per se, but we are providing that bridge between Dynamics and your texting tool. So really, all you have to do is title this, save it, and then from there, I can add an existing marketing list to this. So I have my recipients, and under message content, you're going to have the ability to use those fields to personalize this as well. So again, if I wanted to pull someone's name or company or city or anything like that into here, I can just select which field I want to use, and that'll go ahead and populate this piece of shortcode so that we can personalize these text messages as well. Cool. The next functionality we're going to want to take a look at is going to be the social posting functionality inside of here. So as I mentioned, we give you the ability to post directly to social media profiles right from inside of Dynamics. I would just title this. I can tie it back to that Dynamics campaign if I want to. And then once I save this, it's going to give me the option to open this builder and create this post. Now this is pretty straightforward, super easy to use. Might take just a second to load here, but you're going to be able to select which profile you want to post to here. I can schedule these posts into the future by selecting a date and time. With Facebook, I can choose who's going to be able to see this post based off of geographic location. And I know I use Atlanta a lot, but if I only wanted people in Atlanta to be able to see this post, I can select Atlanta, Georgia. With LinkedIn, I can filter who's going to be able to see this by things like function, company size, geography, language, industry. I will say with these, you do need to have 300 followers in each of these subsets for that filter to apply. So just keep that in mind before you start adding them to everything that we're sending out. And then on Twitter, you're going to be able to add a location to this post. Now, adding videos and images are super easy. You have the ability to choose a local file, or you can go through Box if that's something that you're using already. You can also pull from Facebook or Instagram. You'll also have access to your ClickDimensions library, which we'll see in a second, but makes it super easy. Now, as far as the actual functionality goes, that's going to be about the extent of it. I can see a preview of what this would look like on a mobile or desktop device. But really, the reason that we would post through ClickDimensions instead of posting through the network itself is going to be because we're tracking those social clicks back to individuals. So if we have a person's email address captured inside of Dynamics, we can show you that social post that that person was actually interacting with. So here's a good example. James Hammond clicked on the Ellis Fashion Summer promo Twitter post. Now, as I mentioned in the campaign automation part before, we could use that interaction to send James a piece of information related to that fashion post that he was looking at. As we scroll down, you'll see a few more in here as well. This is a demo environment, so we're capturing probably a lot less than we would in our live environment. But I will say, even these anonymous visits are useful because we're able to see which type of content is not only getting the most traction, but we can actually retroactively assign these anonymous views back to individuals based off of them submitting a form in the future, right? So think about it this way. If someone clicks on a social post, but they're not inside of our CRM yet, and that link in that social post takes them to a website where they submit a form. Obviously, that link click took place before the actual form submission, but we capture that link click as an anonymous click, and then when someone fills out that form and enters their email address, we're able to retroactively assign this click back to that individual, and that way you have the entry point and which piece of marketing content actually prompted this individual to submit that form. And if that form and that social post are tied back to that Dynamics campaign, that's a lead that's tied back to that marketing file, where we can say in the future, if this turns into an opportunity and closes as revenue, we can associate that revenue with these specific sets of marketing content that we send out. So, a lot of functionality in there. It all ties together, but that's going to be one of the major perks of being native. But let's move forward a little bit. So we also have a section called Web and Events, and there's going to be a ton of functionality in here as well. This is going to be where we come to create forms, landing pages, surveys. It's also where we would create our subscription management pages. You can see our website statistics in here, and then I can also create new events. Now, where I'm going to start today is going to be with the forms. So I'm going to click on Form, and then I will go to New here. So again, similar to what we've been doing with everything, you're going to have to title this. We're going to select we're building a form. We're going to tie it to our website, and then we can tie it to that campaign if we want to. But from there, I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to have clicked on the wrong button there. I'm going to have to go into Design. And now this is going to be drag and drop as well. So when you set up ClickDimensions, you set up most of your form fields up front, but from there, you're going to be able to just drop them into this form builder. So let's say I'm using country to route this. I want their cell phone number, and then I'm going to ask for their email. I might also ask for, their name. Obviously, that's going to be super helpful. But let's say, I pulled the cell phone down here, put full name in there. So I'm asking for the name, country, email, and cell phone number. Now from there, I can say, I want the person who submits this form to automatically be added to a marketing list. I could automatically send an email follow-up. I could also assign this to one individual, but as we saw in campaign automation, you have a little bit more functionality in there to assign it to a lot of different individuals at once. But I don't think adding them to a marketing list isn't necessarily a bad idea. And then maybe we do send an autoresponder from here. But you can pull all of that directly into the form builder itself. And then I am going to have the ability to embed this. Now it is, well, you have to save it first, but it is super easy to embed this into our new landing page builder as well. So, instead of even embedding it directly into your website, you could just build a quick landing page using our other functionality and then put the form on that landing page, and it'll look like it's part of your website. So I'll show you how to do that also. But we can preview this quickly. You can also, change the font in here if you don't like the way it looks. We give you the option to put captions in here. You can also put like section titles on it and things like that if you want to. But it is super easy way to build a form. And then as people are submitting this, what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and generate a lead for you from here. Now you could switch this to contacts if you would prefer to create a contact from that form submission. All you do is create new visitor as contact, and then you would change this to no. So you do have that option as well. And then from the form record itself, you're going to be able to see all of your submissions from here. Again, all of those are tracked back to the individual contact or lead that we're creating. So you can see all of the form fields filled out by that individual, as well as the forms that they were interacting with. But let's go to landing pages real quick, because landing pages are going to be the way that we make these forms really look nice, as well as, the most presentable as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this landing page made by my colleague James Hammond, because it is on the theme of Troximo. If I open this up and go into design, this is going to show our new drag and drop landing page builder. Now, he's done a pretty good job with this one, and I'll say, just like myself, James is nowhere close to a graphic designer, but this tool makes it super easy to make great looking landing pages without a ton of experience. And the way it does that is it gives you the option to just pull in different types of rows, and then from there, you can pull in different types of content. So let's say, I wanted to add something down here. I could pull in this row, and then I select which type of content I want to drop in. So I could add a title section, buttons, I could add text sections in here if I wanted to. I could also add a form or survey that I've previously created, as well as, an image. So if I did have a piece of content I wanted to drop in, that's going to be an image for me. This will let me pull up my library. I can also upload things directly from my computer. But if there is a specific image that I want to use in here, I'll just click on it, click OK, and that's going to go ahead and populate this landing page. Now I can obviously size the image if I want to. I can change the width of all of these different rows that I'm looking at. Under settings, you're going to have the option to change things like the link colors, your background colors. I could change this to just blue if I wanted to. I'll leave it transparent just because it looks a little bit better. But ton of functionality in here. And then once you have it ready, and I would need to save this, but you have the same options to embed it, right? You can create a custom URL for this that looks like your normal website address. I would call it something like, troximo.com/ride-to-buy event, or you can embed it directly into your website if you want to. And then if you want to preview it, you are going to be able to see what this looks like before you actually send it live. And you can scroll through tablets as well as mobile phones also. But that's another drag and drop editor we're offering. I think it's super cool, but gives really anybody the power to be their own website designer here. But let's take a look at surveys. So surveys are going to be a new, our upgraded survey tool is going to be a newer functionality. So we did recently release a drag and drop survey builder as well. Now the survey that I'm going to show here today was before Julio Jones got traded to the Titans, so no one judged me on this one. But it makes it super easy to ask questions and related to how the customers answered questions before that. So what I mean by that is when we're creating an NPS survey, right? If someone gives us a low score when we ask them, how did we do handling your customer request? And they give us a 1. We don't want to turn around and ask them, what was your favorite part about working with us? What we want to do is ask them, what could we do to improve? What do you think would have made that experience better? So this survey tool is going to give you the ability to add logic into any of these different questions that we're going to be asking today. Also, any of these different types of questions on the left side, you can just drag and drop them into the survey itself. You can create title pages in here if you want to. When we are clicking on a specific survey, you can see we have the ability to add logic into this to say only show if the value of question 1 was equal or less than or greater than a certain value. For the sake of time, I'll just show you how this works. But if I do go into the test survey, the first question it's showing is, how awesome was Julio Jones' week 6 performance? In week 6 of last year for the Atlanta Falcons, he had a great game. So maybe I say 10. Then it's going to show me what's your favorite Julio catch, select an image, and then what's the coolest thing about Julio Jones. Now, if I did go back to the first question and I answered a 0 or a 5 all the way up to a 7, this is going to ask me, what do you think you could have done better? But all of these survey answers are tracked back to the individual or contact or lead, so we can see how they've answered every question. And then you're also going to get a survey report, which will show the average answers for the group as a whole on the survey that you can show after we get some submissions in. But you can embed this as well. So same thing, you can create a custom URL for this. You can embed it as a link, as an iframe, or as a widget. You can also control things like the background color for this if you want to. And you're going to be able to take specific actions based off of the survey submission. So again, if I wanted to send an email notification or an autoresponder email, I could also assign this. All of those options are available from the survey functionality too. All right. So subscription management is something you generally set up going through onboarding, but you're going to have the option to set up opt-in or opt-out subscription management. Depending on where you're located, you might be forced into the opt-in, but I would generally recommend opt-out if that is an option where you're working from. We want to make sure that we're able to send to everybody. We just also want to make sure that we give them the option to unsubscribe from our emails if you want to. Now, you can also use suppression lists. So if there are lists that you don't want people being sent emails to, you can always add those suppression lists to an individual email send if you want. But we do give you the ability to have multiple different subscription preferences, right? So instead of just saying, do you want to receive our emails or not? And people say yes or no, you can have a list of, do you want to receive quarterly updates? Do you want to receive event emails? Do you also want to receive our newsletters, etc.? And they can select individually what they want to see. So hopefully, they won't opt out of everything at one time. As far as the website statistics go, this is going to be where you're going to be able to see all of your website visits from an organizational level. See how long they were on the website for, also how much this contributed to their lead score, as well as their total page views. You're going to be able to see where they were coming from, also whether it's direct traffic versus things like email or social posts. Those individual page views I think are super helpful too, because we can see the title of the page that these people are looking at. And again, they do have to be known inside a CRM, so we need their email address to be able to identify the person in there. But again, these page views retroactively can be assigned back to a person after they've submit a form and give us their email address. You can access the marketing calendar from here as well. And then the last thing down here is going to be the events. So events are great. Now, again, you do have to be using Teams, Zoom, GoToWebinar, Cvent, Eventbrite, or WebEx. But from there, we can sync those events automatically and basically pull in all the information that you entered into GoToWebinar or into Eventbrite or something like that. And then from there, when you're creating the event, we can say, we want everyone who is signing up for this to automatically be created as a lead or contact. So again, if you wanted to create a lead, you would select lead generation. You could enter the event name, but honestly, because it syncs events automatically, you're not going to have to enter anything besides how you want it coming into CRM. So let's see. This one might be filled out for us, so we'll check really quickly. Yeah, so this is coming from Eventbrite. So all I would have to do is go into events, click sync, and then I'll be able to pull all of the events that I've set up in Eventbrite. So all of this information populated automatically. We have information about when it's scheduled, how long it's scheduled for. We can see the registration link down here, how many people we can hold, also the venue name. And then as people start registering, I'm also going to have that participant information in here. So we'll capture the first name, last name, email address. And then if you are doing like a webinar, right, we can see how long they were actually in the session for, if they asked any questions. But again, we go back all the way into did they actually attend? And if we're back in the event section here, all I would have to do is click sync events and then select the connector that I want to use. So I've set up an Eventbrite connector here, but really all it is entering your Eventbrite login information, and then from there you can just sync everything that you've created in Eventbrite. Cool. So that really is a very quick update of most of the ClickDimensions functionality. We took a quick look at the library when we were pulling in an image into the landing page there, but again, you can create folders for all of your images that you're going to be using regularly. You can upload them from right here as well. And then audience, you're going to have the ability to import contacts and leads. And if you do a ClickDimensions import, that's going to put them automatically onto a marketing list. But you also do have the option to do a dynamics import if you wanted to. And then under settings and support, you are going to find more information about those event connectors. This is how we would set it up back here. But you also have the ability to set your lead score settings as well. So you can change the values for any of the things that we're using to measure the lead score. But really, that's going to be about it for the ClickDimensions demo today. So I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint. I would like to say thank you to everybody who took the time to watch this. I definitely appreciate your time. And if you do have any additional questions, go ahead and let Chad know. He is a great ClickDimensions partner, and he's also a great resource for this tool as well.
Thank you very much, Matt. That was awesome. And as you said many times through the demo, there's so many features that are brand new, and the roadmap for ClickDimensions is very, very aggressive. They're pumping out new features, new enhancements, new functionality all the time, and it's very exciting. So if you would love to go deeper on ClickDimensions, do you really want to see how it's going to work for you and your individual company and your individual role, please reach out to me. We can get you more information. We can set up a personal demo. Happy to do that. So, and again, clickdimensions.com. There's a ton of resources out there. Ledgeviewpartners.com. We've got a ton of resources as well, from videos to ebooks to infographics and blog posts on all things sales, marketing, and customer service. So, Matt, we appreciate you joining us today and for all that information. And for everybody else, enjoy your day and make it a great one.